All right, let's talk about Flutter. It's this toolkit from Google that's totally changing how we build apps. If you've ever been annoyed about how long it takes for an app to show up on both your iPhone and your friend's Android, well, you're about to find out exactly why that happens and how Flutter fixes it. I mean, this is the big question, right? It's at the heart of a massive headache that developers have dealt with for years. Building an app for iOS and then turning around and building the exact same app for Android, it just seems crazy inefficient. And that's because it is. So let's dig in and see what this double work problem actually looks like. Because you can't really appreciate how cool the solution is until you really get a feel for the problem it solves. This analogy just hits the nail on the head. Imagine you've done all this work on a school paper, all the research, outlining, writing, the whole thing, and then your professor says, great, now handwrite it all over again for a different department. It's the same content, same ideas, but you're doing double the effort. That is exactly what app development used to be like. Okay, so here's how it all breaks down. In the old days, you'd write your Android app using a language like Kotlin. Awesome. But then to get that same app on an iPhone, you would just start over, completely from scratch in a totally different language called Swift. Oh, and you want a web version too? Well, guess what? You're writing it a third time. It was a huge, huge waste of time and energy. So, how do we fix this mess? This is where Flutter just swoops in and saves the day. You can think of it as the ultimate tool for getting out of that cycle of rewriting the same thing over and over again. And really, this is the first big idea you need to grab onto. If the old way was like handwriting the same paper 3 times, Flutter is like having a magic pen that just does it for you, instantly. So what is Flutter officially? It's a UI toolkit. Let's break that down real quick. UI just means user interface. All the buttons, text, and images you actually see and touch on your screen. The really important part, the magic, is that last bit. You build it all from a single code base. So here's how that magic pen actually works in practice. You write your code just once. Then Flutter takes that one set of instructions and basically prints out perfect native copies for every platform. One for Android, one for iOS, and yeah, even one for the web. You design it once and it just works everywhere. No more double work, no more triple work. It's a game changer. Okay, but a magic pen isn't much good without some ink, right? Every powerful tool needs an engine running it, and for Flutter, that engine is a programming language called Dart. Exactly. What is this whole thing running on? The code you're writing has to be in a language Flutter can understand, and that language, the ink for our magic pen, is Dart. You know what? Let's switch metaphors, because this one is really good too. If building an app is like building a super sleek sports car, then Flutter is all the stuff you see on the outside. But the raw power, that's all coming from Dart. This makes it super clear how things are split up. Flutter is that beautiful exterior, the shiny paint, the cool dashboard, the steering wheel. It's everything the user sees and touches. Dart, on the other hand, is the powerful engine humming away under the hood. You don't see it, but it's doing all the heavy lifting, all the calculations, grabbing data from the internet, and actually making the app go. And here's some really good news, especially for developers. Dart isn't some weird alien language that's hard to learn. It was actually designed to feel familiar. So if you've ever used languages like C++, Java, or Python, jumping into Dart is going to feel pretty natural. Okay, we've covered the what and the how. Now we're getting to the single most important rule for actually building with Flutter. I'm serious, if you get this one concept, everything else just clicks into place. This is it. This is the golden rule. A button is a widget. A piece of text is a widget. An image, the layout, the padding, every single thing you see on the screen is a widget. Now, the word widget can sound a little technical or dry, so just for a second, forget that word. Instead, think of Lego bricks. Honestly, it's the absolute best way to picture how a Flutter app gets put together. So check this out. You need a button on the screen? That's a Lego brick. You need to display some text? That's another Lego brick. You want to add some empty space to separate them? Yep, you guessed it, that's a Lego brick too. You literally build your entire app screen by just snapping these different bricks together to create your final design. And that's really the whole idea. Flutter takes something that used to be a complicated, repetitive chore and turns it into this creative process, almost like playing with building blocks. It just leaves you with one final question. If building an app is really that simple, what would you build?